So hello everyone and welcome to tonight's virtual panel on Boston College's performing arts life. Performing arts takes up so much space at Boston College, whether that's singing, acting, dancing, set construction, and everything in between. I'm very excited to explore the different aspects of that tonight with our time. This is one of several weekly panels that are put on by the Student Admission Program, which is an organization on campus that's mostly run by students. My name is Jackie. I am the media coordinator of this organization, as well as one of the creators of these panels. Also, I'm a senior at Boston College, where I major in communication in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, and I minor in finance in our Carroll School of Management, and I'm originally from Manalapan, New Jersey. I am joined by 3 other undergraduates tonight who are involved in different aspects of performing arts on campus. Before I turn it over to them for introductions, we definitely want to spend a lot of time answering the questions that you want answered as well. So we're going to have a Q&A portion right after their introductions. If you look at the bottom of your screens, you'll see a little Q&A button. Feel free to start submitting those questions whenever you have any questions come up. We'll be so happy to answer them. Additionally, if you scroll over our little Zoom boxes, you'll see our name as well as our email. So if any student says something that you have further questions on, or maybe just want some more information on, feel free to shoot us an email after this panel. All right. So what we're going to do is we'll do introductions. We'll have each student introduce themselves, and then also I'll answer, or I'll ask them a question that they can answer just about the club that they're a part of. So we'll get started with Best Day.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. My name is Beste. I'm a senior in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, double majoring in psychology, BA, and communications. I'm also on the pre-law track studying business law in the Carroll School of Management, if you have any questions about that. And I'm from Geneva, Switzerland, so a little far off. And I'm also on council with the Student Admissions Program alongside Jackie Geller right here with the International Outreach Program. So thank you all so much for tuning in.
Hi, Best Day. So on a prior panel, I actually asked the panelists if they could join another club at Boston College, what would it be? And my answer was Common Tones, which, as you know, is one of the many fantastic a cappella groups that we have on campus. I simply cannot sing, so I've learned the hard way that I have to give up on that dream. But you for sure can sing because you auditioned as a senior this year and got in. So my question for you is, what is it like entering a performing arts group as a senior? Were the other members welcoming? Did they do any bonding activities or anything that helped you transition into that club?
Absolutely. So as a senior, I was still terrified going into the audition process. We had to go through 2 auditions. So you have the first set of auditions where you sing a verse and a chorus, and they listen to you, work through chords and stuff and ranges. So it was a little intimidating, especially having sophomores in front of you judging you. But as a senior, I really was excited, and I said, this is my last chance. This is my last shot. I'm never going to have this opportunity to really audition in an a cappella group that is on campus in college. And so I thought it's now or never. And I was kind of intimidated, but because I had that mindset of it's my last shot, I was fearless. I said, why not? Because it's honestly one of the best decisions I've made in my life. At BC, I was a part of a cappella in high school. And so I wanted that part to be with me in college, but unfortunately I wasn't able to join clubs outside of the admissions program, outside of the international club, with so much happening on my plate. And so as a senior, having more flexibility, especially with fulfilling some of my major requirements earlier, I just thought, now that I have more time on my plate, I'm ready to do it. And so coming in as a senior with the audition process, I got a call back, which was amazing. And once you get a call back, you have everyone in the same room and you're with freshmen, sophomores, seniors. It's amazing. And you're just singing together. It's such a beautiful harmony that you get to do with so many different students on campus. And what I loved about the Common Tone specifically was that it's also a service group. And so you get to perform for service as well outside of that. And it's the only a cappella group that does that. And so I was so happy that I was able to join, because the first tradition they did was actually knock on every single student's dorm door when they got accepted. But unfortunately, I slept through that. It was 3 a.m. the day after my callback, and I said, no, my sleep is more important. And so I found out that I got in through a text message in the morning, but they were knocking on my door, trying to wake me up. My roommates, and I just said, no, it's fine, I'm okay, thank you. But it's one of the few traditions that they do where they just have everyone in their PJs running around campus trying to find everyone who's got in. So that was a very interesting thing that I missed out on, but still got to enjoy as I joined the club. So I would say as a senior, there is nothing that should hold you back from joining clubs, especially performing arts, because it's such a beautiful outlet for your stress, for your non-competitive, non-class oriented interests. So really, if anyone's interested in singing, go for it.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Right, we can move on with the Caroline.
Yes, thank you for sharing, Beste. That's so amazing, especially that you joined as a senior. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline. I'm a sophomore in the Lynch School of Education and Human Development with a major in applied psych and human development, concentrating in health and human services. And then I also have a major in studio art in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. And outside of the student admission program, I work as a panelist there. I'm excited to be on the panel tonight. And I love BC Performing Arts.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for joining tonight, Caroline. So you're part of My Mother's Fleabag, which is an improv group on campus. And I freaked out when I heard this. I had friends who actually recently graduated from Boston College, and they were part of like all different improv groups. And I would go to their shows all the time. And I remember freshman year, my friends and I went to an improv show, and we still talk about it to this day, just because how funny it was. So my question for you was, how did you find yourself involved in an improv group? Did you maybe do it in high school and you loved it, so you wanted to do it here in college? Or did you come into college not knowing anything about improv, but maybe you learned about this club and you were like, you know what, let me take a little shot at it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Improv is something that I did not do in high school. There was a spot on like my application, you can fill out a form before, and it said, what's your prior theater experience? And in high school, I did one show. I was cast as man number 3. That's my only theater experience outside of improv. But I was a freshman last year during the height of the pandemic. And so I had seen all of these flyers around campus for the auditions, and I had gone on the virtual club fair to see it. And they said that the auditions were in person. And I was like, oh my gosh, something's finally in person. Like, I need to go. And so it was super fun. I had never done improv before auditioning for Fleabag. My dad did when he was in college. And so I like to say that growing up with a dad as animated as he was kind of my experience. But yes, I had never done it before. And that's something that's pretty cool about clubs like Fleabag and a bunch of other performing arts clubs at BC, is that you don't really need a prior experience. So if you've been doing theater your whole life, that's amazing. And we're so excited to have you as a part of the community. But also, if you're like me and you hadn't done it before, like, so many people are learning and people are ready to help you figure it out and also find what you're interested in. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Awesome. That's so great to hear. All right, before we move on to Danielle, I'm just going to remind everyone that at the bottom of your screens, you have a little Q&A button. I know that we have a few questions coming in, which is super exciting, but keep submitting those questions if you have any on your minds. All right, we can go with Danielle now.
Hi, everyone. My name's Danielle, and I'm a senior in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. I'm studying neuroscience, and I'm on the pre-PA track. And I also serve as the director for Boston College Dance Ensemble. And then I'm also involved in a bunch of different service clubs and such on campus as well as that.
Awesome. Hey, Danielle. So there are a little bit less than 20 dance teams at BC, to my knowledge. And obviously I'm biased towards dance ensemble, because whenever the team performs, you're all just so clean and the technique is always just super impressive. And I cannot wait to see all of your shows this year. But can you tell us a little bit more about this team itself, just because you are the director? Like, how many dancers are there? What is the rehearsal schedule like? How often do you guys perform? Things like that.
Yeah, so BCDE, Dance Ensemble, as we like to call it, is a student-run organization of around 30 dancers. And we rehearse around 3 days a week for 2 hours a day. And we take classes in a bunch of different styles. We do jazz, ballet, contemporary, a little bit of tap, jazz funk. And we also take ballet once a week with a ballet instructor that comes in from the city of Boston. And I think that's what really sets us apart in terms of our technique, and what makes us look really clean and together on stage is taking that ballet class and keeping our technique up. And we perform in a bunch of different shows around campus amongst the other dance teams. And we have our own show in the spring, which is super exciting. Yeah, and it's just really fun.
All right, cool. And this actually perfectly kind of segues into the first question that I see in our Q&A. I'm actually just kind of change it a little bit, and I'm going to open it up to all of you for all of your clubs. But what kind of events do your groups perform at, and kind of like what does the audition process / practice time look like? So obviously Danielle already answered the practice time, and Beste kind of mentioned the audition process of their clubs. But if you guys can just kind of go into like a little bit more depth on some of that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I can get us started with this. So actually for our groups, because they are student-run organizations, you can really make up any type of event that you want. Really depends on who gets invited or who you reach out to. And so I think that's really beautiful because you can really make up whatever you want. One of my first performances actually as a senior in the Common Tones was Pops on the Heights, which is this huge event where parents, faculty, and past alumni and students are invited to. And there's this huge show. I think this year we had Train come, which was absolutely amazing. Amazing songs, obviously, but you get this beautiful performance with singers, current students that are performing in the orchestra or a cappella groups, things like that. And so I was really, really nervous because that was our first official performance in the a cappella group, but it was a wonderful segue because you got to see your friends cheering on for you, and really get to sing those two songs that you have to really learn in a few weeks. But I would say that some events, you can have on campus or off campus, especially with our a cappella groups. And the Common Tone specifically, you are also invited to service opportunities where you go into the greater Boston area and perform maybe at coffee shops or elder houses, or even go and stay on campus and do little I don't know, like spontaneous performances. I think they're actually having our freshmen do that this semester for our club. So you really can make whatever you want with that. And I think that's beautiful.
Yes, just to add on to that, in the spring, we have a huge event called Arts Fest. Last year, I worked as a volunteer there. And so many of the performing arts groups on campus come and perform. I know a bunch of dance teams were there last year. People sing, some of the other comedy groups do comedy. We didn't do it last year just because of COVID stuff, but hopefully we'll get to this spring. And there's a visual arts showcase there as well, so that's super exciting. And then another, even last year during the pandemic or the height of the pandemic, people were still trying to gather and like share our love of the performing arts. And so my comedy group and a couple of the other ones did our shows outside. And even in like 30 degrees in the darkness of December, we still had people coming out and participating in our improv shows, which was something that was super cool, and I think speaks a lot to the BC community as a whole, that people are willing to spend their Thursday night outside in the cold just to watch them improv.
I'll just touch on two of the big dance performances and opportunities that we have at BC. So in the fall, Robsham Theater hosts Week of Dance, which is coming up at the beginning of December. And that's a super fun week where they're just celebrating dance. A bunch of the dance teams across campus will actually hold workshops that are open to the public, open to anyone who wants to come and just kind of dance with the teens during the week. And then on Friday and Saturday night, there are performances with most, if not all, of the dance teams. And there's just a variety of styles. And it turns out there's a really nice turnout, and it's super exciting and a good way to end the fall semester. And then in the spring, ALC puts on Showdown, which is a really, really exciting performance, an event that is held in Conti Forum, and a lot of the students go. There's upwards of like 5,000 students that come, and it's a competition between the teams, and they perform longer sets, and it's actually a fundraiser, and every set has a theme, and they're really exciting and fun. And I know a lot of the students and faculty really enjoy that to close out the year.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for that. I see a question about the audition process for music majors. I can touch upon that really quickly. So when you apply to Boston College, they will actually ask you what major you'd like to be a part of. So just click on music. That'll put you in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences if you want to major in that. Back when we applied, which sounds so long ago, because we're seniors now, back when we applied, back in the day, I believe they had like an art supplement where you could kind of like submit a video of yourself doing something. So if that's like playing an instrument, singing, I believe that would still be the case to this day. And on top of that, all our music majors, like once they come onto campus, they all are part of so many different organizations. So then you can always either sign up or audition for those, whether that's chorus groups. A lot of my friends are in chorale, marching band, all those things in between. So that's kind of like the process for music majors, but there's no like set process or set way to go, I guess. Another question that I have for all of you is, obviously we're in college. Is it easy to balance out your clubs with all of your classes that you have, as well as all of the other organizations that you're a part of? Like, how feasible is it?
I would. Oh,
Go ahead. Okay, I can speak on this one a little bit. Time management was the big thing I was stressed about coming into BC, and something that I found very comforting once I started with my mother's Fleabag is that in the first week, right after all of our new members had been accepted, we had a meeting and we went through everybody's schedule, and if someone had a conflict, we didn't have practice. So, you know, like the senior leaders or other leaders of your club like tend to be very accepting of like your academic schedule and have the mindset that school comes first, but also really want you to be there. And so they try and make things revolve around your schedule, which is super nice and helpful, and something that eased a lot of stress for me because I didn't want to be that one person who didn't go because I had a meeting or another club or something else. So it's definitely manageable. And then people are pretty lenient too if you have too much homework and just need to take a night off to reset or have a big exam the next day. People are typically very understanding.
I would definitely agree with what Caroline said. I think in my personal experience, it's been very flexible and manageable with your schedules, depending on what classes you take. Actually, this semester, I'm lucky enough to not have classes on Wednesdays or Fridays. So it really just shows that you can really have classes just be in a few days of the week and work around your schedules with your clubs and organizations, such as the performing arts ones. Especially with a cappella groups, I believe we all have 3 rehearsals a week. And one of them I actually can't make because of a class. But like Caroline mentioned, it's so flexible because it's all students that are going through the same process and they have similar schedules. So we all know we have busy plates and busy time commitments, but it's just a nice escape just to have like a group of students to sing with, dance with, work with outside of the classroom. Some classes only take 50 minutes a day. Sometimes it's longer than 2 hours. So as you can see, it's really flexible depending on what classes you take and what days.
Yeah, just to echo what Caroline and Beste said, especially with all of our organizations being student run, it's really, really helpful because we all are very understanding of each other and we're all going through the same thing and trying to manage such a busy schedule. And in addition, a lot of student organizations, I would say, hold their meetings in the late evenings, and majority of classes run throughout the day. But of course, if you do have a class conflict, school comes first. And I think BC students really prioritize their schoolwork, which makes it really easy to be flexible and accommodating for everyone. And I know personally for dance ensemble, in the spring, you can actually choose how many dances you're in and kind of work around your schedule. So if you don't want to have as heavy of a practice schedule and kind of want to focus more on other clubs or schools, you can totally do that. And it's completely customizable and up to you, which is really awesome.
That's perfect. And I know that right now we're in the middle of our midterm season, so that's probably very understandable right now for all of you as well. Another question that I have is, typically like when high school students visit BC and they find out that BC does not have Greek life, but we have over 300 student organizations that kind of replace that very easily. They always ask like, how on earth do you get involved, or how on earth do you find out about which clubs that you want to audition for and things like that. So my question for you is, how did you come across your clubs, or was it even the student involvement fair? It's one of my favorite traditions on campus. So if someone who found their club through the student involvement fair wants to talk about that, that would be awesome as well.
I remember my freshman year, I was walking around on the involvement fair. I get, like Jackie mentioned, and you just have such a vibrant and chaotic and loud environment right outside of Stokes, which is one of our academic buildings. And you just have all of the clubs and all the students yelling at you. And sometimes they just throw candy at you, like, join our club, you have to. And so at the end of the day, sometimes you find yourself like joining 20 clubs and you don't even know, like, you're not a history major or you don't even know how to dance. But honestly, that's the beauty of it. You get to explore and meet people through those because it's so low key and chill, and you really get to socialize through those interests outside of the classroom. Personally, I remember I was walking around and I just see the common tones of the BC Dynamics a cappella groups, and they're just like singing, kind of like the Pitch Perfect movie. And they're just like, "Can you match my pitch?" I'm like, sure. And so sometimes it's just like a really funny scene where you see people singing into your face, like, join us. But I would say the involvement fair was the best way for me to get to know clubs, get to see people who have the same interests as me, and see what I want to choose from, kind of like a Facebook marketplace.
Sorry. I know for me, I always knew that I kind of wanted to continue dancing in college, but I didn't really know how important dance was at BC. They have a ton of different dance clubs, and they're all a variety of specialties and styles. But some actually members of Dance Ensemble had reached out to a bunch of prospective students of the class of 2022, my class, who had mentioned some sort of dance in like their Facebook, like get to know me in the class of 2022 Facebook page. So that kind of got me interested and aware of Dance Ensemble. And then I also took to kind of realize that dance has such a big presence at BC, and that led me to like look at other dance teams. And then the student involvement fair, I think, was the biggest factor in kind of actually learning about what the team is about, what the rehearsal schedule is like, how they balance work and practices and things like that. And it was just really awesome to see how much students were involved on campus, not only within their schoolwork. And I think the involvement fair was like the best way to do that.
Yes, the involvement fair, my first time going was this year. Last year it was virtual, and it was so exciting and so fun. It was amazing. But if you happen to miss the involvement fair or can't make it, sometimes the clubs at school will come to you. This year, Fleabag, anyway, we did the dorm walks. And so a couple days after the involvement fair, and I think 2 days before our auditions, we went to every freshman door and knocked on the door and handed a flyer. And as we were going along, we found flyers from a bunch of other clubs that had already been there. So that's kind of a fun BC tradition. Quite a few people find out about clubs that way, and also it shows how dedicated people are and how they really do want you to come audition. They're not just like, audition, we want to see you and get to know you all. And so it's super fun. And that's so that, in addition to like posters just all around campus, or other ways you can find out about what's going on.
Absolutely. And I love, Caroline, how you kind of like harped on the fact that it is like such a big tradition, how like we really do try to make it work all the time. So for you, it's gonna be really unique for next year, because last year was fully online completely because of COVID. And then this year we kind of did like a hybrid where it was like half the clubs were indoor, half were outdoor. But next year, I'm really hoping that it's completely on the Stokes quad for you and your grade, and also the freshmen here right now. So I'm really looking forward to that for you. Really quickly, there's a question about Irish Dance Club. Yes, we have an Irish step team. They are so good. Danielle mentioned the ALC Showdown, which again is like our on-campus dance competition between all of the dance teams. And I am stunned every single time they perform. They are super amazing. So you can definitely look them up online as well. This question can kind of go mostly to Caroline as well. You can touch upon film, but there's someone asking if the acting program here is mostly theater or is it film. I can touch upon the theater really quickly. So we have theater all year round at BC. There's so much acting going on. There's also a lot of performances that are going on this week with theater. I'm going to it's like a murder mystery theater show at 10:30 tonight with so many of my friends. Like there's always things happening here. I know they have Spring Awakening later this weekend. So there's always like theater things to get involved in, set production, acting, lighting. But also we do have film. We also have film study. So if Caroline, you want to talk about that a little bit, that would be cool.
Sure. Yes. So we at BC we have a major and minor in film studies. And while I'm not in either of them, I have quite a few friends who are, and they're taking some super cool classes. I know they both have screenwriting together right now. So I get to hear about that from both of them. And then additionally, I believe you can also do film in combination with some of the shows. Last year, there was a ton of film going on with everything being recorded and broadcasted. So there's many ways to be involved in film as well. And then you can also do promotional videos like with BC and with different clubs on campus. So yes, many avenues for film too.
Yes, that is perfect. If you haven't seen the latest promotional video from Boston College on YouTube, definitely look it up. It's called That BC Feeling, and Best Day's in it. There's a Best Day cameo for like a split second, so you could definitely see her in that. Another question that I have for all of you is that BC is mostly like a medium-sized campus or a medium-sized school with 9,300 undergraduates. And we have all of like those little campuses that kind of make us BC itself. So there's lower campus, Brighton campus, main campus, upper campus. So we have Rob Sham Theater, which is on lower campus, where a lot of our performing arts will do their shows and things like that. But a question that I have for you is, where do you normally practice? I know that all three of your clubs practice at different parts on campus or campuses. So if you can kind of go into that and the facilities that BC offers as well.
I can get us started. So I know for a cappella groups, I'm not sure if it's the same for everyone, but I know that every Wednesday I always see the same groups roaming around the same building, and it's in Devlin Hall. Which is actually where the student admissions program is located as well. But basically we reserve a classroom, and it's a beautiful classroom where you have space where you can push the tables back. And if you want to sit, you can sing while resting as well. But there are rooms where there are pianos. I know there are pianos in Gaston Hall or Stokes, or you can just do your bedroom, honestly. Some students have very large spaces and living rooms where you can just sing and hang out together. So you can have a socializing aspect and a rehearsal aspect if you like. But I think it's really flexible, and there are online resources where you can reserve a space wherever you want on campus, even if that includes Rob Sham Theater itself. But yeah, so that's the beauty of the student-run organizations. Again, it's super flexible. You get to pick any type of classroom or space that you want.
I can speak for the dance teams. So Jackie mentioned Brighton campus. It's, I would say, a little less than a 10-minute walk from lower campus, and it houses the Brighton Dance Studio, which is a really beautiful space. There's 3 studios. One is a larger main studio, and then there's 2 smaller side studios, and the main studio has mirrors all around the room, and the other studios have mirrors as well. And they all have a sound system. There's ballet bars, and it's a really beautiful space. And I would say most, if not all of the dance teams rehearse in there multiple days a week. And then we also have a few other spaces around campus. There's a small dance studio in O'Connell House, which is on upper campus, which houses our freshmen. And that's a really awesome space to use. And then in Carney Hall, there's actually a dance studio there, which is really nice. And I think that they just got a new sound system there. So I've been going there a bunch. And then there's also some spaces in the new Margot Canal Recreation Center, which are awesome. They have really great floors. And I know some of the dance teams will rehearse in there as well.
Yes, and I can speak for the comedy groups on campus as well as probably a bunch of other clubs. But we typically practice in a classroom in Kearney or in Gaston Hall in room 305. It's kind of like a lecture / debate hall. And that's also where we have our shows. So we had our first show last Thursday, and that was really exciting. And then our other shows are in the Vanderslice Cabaret room, which is down on lower campus, where most sophomores, juniors, and seniors live. And it's like 2 floors in a very cool space. But we tend to practice in a bunch of different classrooms across campus. And most clubs tend to do that, random classrooms in Stokes, where they have a common meeting place, and then we'll find a room that's open. So yes, lots of spaces to practice.
Great. And then Caroline, by any chance, did you live on Newton campus your freshman year or on Upper?
I did not, but I did have a friend who was on Newton.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a question from someone coming from Newton. I could talk a little about my experience being on Newton, and then if you ever want to talk about your friend as well, that would be awesome. But the question is, if you live on Newton campus, is it difficult to get to the Chestnut Hill campus or main campus for rehearsal and vice versa? Also, if you have a late rehearsal, is it safe going back to your dorm on another campus? So very briefly, I'll touch upon residential life at Boston College. I'll also give a brief plug. Next week's panel on Wednesday is also going to be about residential life and dining. So definitely register for that if you haven't already. But 60% of our freshmen are on Upper campus and 40% are on Newton campus. That's randomly assigned to you right before you enter your freshman year at Boston College. I can also say that everyone loves where they live. So everyone who lives on Upper like swears by Upper. My best friends who lived on Upper, like they always say that I would have loved Upper if I didn't live on Newton. And then I always told them that they would have loved Newton if they lived on Upper, because I love Newton so much. Beth is also on Newton as well. But what I can say in terms of rehearsals and getting to campus, for the Newton campus, which is around like a 5-minute bus ride, BC offers those buses all day, every day. So it's never been an issue to get to main campus. Additionally, in the evening, it's the same exact thing where the buses are always running. Additionally, on top of all of that, you're bound to have someone else on Newton campus who's probably in your club as well. So you always have a group of people to go back and forth to campus with. I remember my freshman year, I would go to campus and go to practice with 2 other girls in my grade who lived on Newton campus. So that was always like very quick and very easy. Caroline, any questions? Oh, not questions. Any other further details on that?
Yeah, just there's one thing I could add. My one friend who lived on Newton, so none of the other freshmen in our group lived on Newton campus, so he was going back by himself. And one of the seniors in our group had a car and offered to drive him home every night after practice, because we practiced like later. Sometimes we'd be getting out at like 11:30 or closer to midnight. And so that's really nice. A lot of upperclassmen or people with cars on campus tend to be offering a ride, especially when they feel a little sympathy for someone who's trekking all the way back to Newton. And then if they can't give them a ride, sometimes people will get out of practice a little early just to make sure they can get back in time. The same way getting to practice, if you're a little late and you're coming from Newton, tends to be no problem.
Okay, perfect. And that also kind of goes into my next question as well, because I love how you mentioned how a senior was like so willing to drive a freshman back if they were just by themselves going back to Newton. So my question for that is, like, obviously you're all meeting together in your clubs. It's great. It's a great time. But do you find yourselves hanging out with your other club members outside of your practices? Like, do you find yourselves getting lunch? Do any of you live with maybe some team members? Things like that. Like, how often do you hang out outside of your practices?
I can start. I would say the girls on my team are some of my closest friends. I personally don't live with any other team members, but I know so many people do. I think 4 other seniors live together, and then a group of 2 live together, and then a bunch of the sophomores live together. And I know some of the freshmen are already planning on living together. So I would say we're a really tight-knit group. We do a lot of things just together, like some wholesome, fun activities to get to know each other more at the beginning of the year. And I would say just because we're spending so much time together, we inherently get so close. And it's really awesome to see the team grow closer as the year goes on.
I would say one thing that our club, the Common Tones, does is mandatory coffee dates on a weekly basis. And so I think it's a great way for all of us to be paired up randomly and get to know the other person outside of the group. I think it's a great way to have kind of like a mentor or friend that can really guide you if you're a freshman or an underclassman, but also have that friend through that mutual interest of the performing arts, and just hang out and grab coffee at Hillside Cafe or the chocolate bar, things like that. So I would say these clubs are really just not purely performing arts, but also for socialization and really finding those friends that enjoy the performing arts just as you do. So I think that these clubs are really, really, really fun to have.
Yes, I agree. I think there is a really tight community among all of the clubs on campus, but in particular the performing arts, just because you spend so much time engaging with other people's like personalities. So it's really great to get to know each other, to like increase the chemistry you have on stage or in rehearsal, etc. So something we do, I guess, in my club, in my mother's Fleabag, is that when all the freshmen are accepted into the club, we do one-on-one like lunch with them. So everybody who is a veteran of the club will get lunch with each of the freshmen, just to get to know them a little bit better before we start, because forming those relationships is like really critical to, you know, bringing everyone together and making sure people also feel comfortable with you and all of the new people that they're meeting. And, you know, when you're feeling a little overwhelmed, especially when you're first coming into college.
All right, great. And we have time for one last question. This one can be answered by all of you again. I'll get us started because I know that it's kind of one that you have to like think about a little bit. And I kind of hinted on it earlier before, but I'll make it specific for performing arts, which is, if you could join another performing arts group, what would it be and why? If you can give a little description as well, that would be great. As I mentioned before, I would have loved to be in Best Days group, the Common Tones, but I cannot sing. So I'll give my second choice as well. For me, it is Full Swing. So as Danielle mentioned, when it comes to like dance ensemble and other groups like that, you do have to audition before you get in. Full Swing is one of a couple of dance teams on campus that you actually do not have to audition for, and they are swing dance. I am personally friends with the president and vice president of that club, and they always try to get me to come to like their free classes and free events. And I am like very scared of swing dance, but they keep saying like it's not scary. None of them did it before college. They came in freshman year and they were like, yeah, you'll fall, but there's mats, it's fine. And I'm like, absolutely not, but I would love to go and like watch them perform, and I love to support them as well. So that's one club that I would definitely love to join if I was more confident in doing that.
I think one club that I've always wanted to join is Fuego del Corazon, which is one of our dance teams here on campus. They are so smooth. Like I've been to so many of their events, and we actually had like a collaborative performance slash class event with the international club. I won't go into much detail, but it was, I mean, I was sweating a lot. Sorry about that, but it was so draining. And oh my gosh, it's like a workout. I remember my roommate and I, we actually tried out for their team sophomore year, and we really did it just for the workout because we can't really dance. But it was one of my best days ever of sophomore year because we clearly couldn't dance, but we learned all the movements, like the hand positioning and really like the full like cha cha cha. And it's like clearly can't dance, but I'm having fun. Just take it all in. And it's really funny because we did it in Brighton campus as well. So you really see yourself in the full like length mirrors, and you're just like, this is not going to work out. But as you can see, it's a really fun experience, and you know, you can just audition for fun. Why not? They're not going to judge. They're going to have fun with you. So I would say definitely that club for sure.
Best Day, I was actually also going to say Fuego. They're just so impressive and clean on stage, and just the energy they bring is so contagious. I can't help but like want to jump out of my seat when I'm watching them dance, and just like all of the like flips and tosses and tricks that they do are crazy. But another dance team I've always wanted to join as well is Synergy, which is like a hip hop group on campus, and they are so cool. I just think each and every one of them is awesome. Just like the hard hitting moves they do, and they're so clean and smooth. And every piece that they have is so unique and creative. I wish I could dance like that, but I can't. But both of those teams are two of my absolute favorites to watch at BC.
Yes, I agree. I was also going to say Fuego, and Full Swing is a close second. I would definitely join a dance team. I cannot dance for my life. I did Irish step when I was younger, and that we quit that for a lot of reasons. So mostly because I just can't dance. So I would definitely try and do that if I could join any performing arts team or performing arts group. Maybe something with some gymnastics too, because I also cannot do gymnastics. So I would take advantage of that opportunity for sure.
Yeah, if all of you can't tell at home, Fuego is so big on campus. They're such an amazing group. Definitely look them up on YouTube as well. They definitely have a YouTube channel and videos as well. I know that BC posts like some showdown videos as well. So definitely look into that. All right, so I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight and watching. Next week's panel is same time next week, same day, so Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is going to be on residential life and dining. So there's a lot to go into that. I'm really excited. It's also going to be the last panel that I moderate in these sessions before I hand it over to the other co-creator to moderate the last panel that we have for the fall semester. But I will be both very excited and also very sentimental as well. So please register for that. And again, I want to thank my panelists. It is a Wednesday night and they decided to do this for 45 minutes or so just to talk to all of you. And again, if any of them mention something that you're like, oh, I want to know more information on that, feel free to email them. And again, if we didn't come to any of your questions tonight, or if you have a question that was left unanswered, feel free to email us as well. We can definitely either steer you in the right direction with that, offer an answer, or give you someone who maybe works at Boston College who can help you with that question as well. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful night and also happy early Halloween. Thank you.